Shadows fall and hope has fled. Seal your heart, the dawn will come. The night is long and the path is dark. Look to the stars for one day soon. The dawn will come. What is up, you beautiful, beautiful gamers, and welcome back to Role-Playing James, to this merry old corner in the internet, where we sometimes like to talk about video games. Now, this beautiful man that you see right here...
Hello everybody, I'm Paul, or Hybris. I'm a musician, composer, producer, all kind of music related stuff. And on my YouTube channel, I do deep dives into my compositions, I analyze video game composers and pieces from video games, and I also do metal covers of video games, because I play guitars with way too many strings, like this one. It's also decapitated, which is metal, and with this one I try to make things sound metal. And apparently I'm here today to provide a musician's side of view of this composition, so back to you, James, and see you in a bit.
If you like this stuff, guys, do let us know in the comments below if you want us to continue this as a series. Pretty much what we are going to do is that we are going to be analyzing the best song moments in video games. Some of you may already know I teach literature for a living. I am a high school literature teacher. I have to eat. I have this strange disease that when I don't eat, I actually die. Bills have to be paid, so it is what it is. I'm going to be analyzing the narrative part of the song, the narrative impact of the specific song on the video game, and then this beautiful sexy ass of a man that you see right here beside me, well, not pretty much beside me, but he's Paul. He's a professional composer, a professional musician. He's going to be breaking down the musical part of the song bit by bit. He's going to be undressing that beautiful sexy ass of a song so that you guys know each and every single thing that you can see right there with the song, but that's going to be in another different video. In here I'm going to be analyzing the song, the narrative part of it, and then Paul is going to give you like what are his thoughts on the song, a little bit more like digestible, and then in his channel, in the link, you can find his video, the link in the description below. Pardon me for being such a dumb ass dude, but anyways, with that being said, let's get into the matter of today's video, which is this analysis of The Dawn Will Come. Dragon Age Inquisition was the game of the year in 2014. The narrative direction of Dragon Age franchise has always been one of my favorites in gaming history. However, it has changed quite substantially since the very first entry. Origins was much more mature and gruesome. Hell, you could even chop off enemies' heads. One of the main and gory stuff that actually was a little of a subtlety was that the characters covered in blood after each battle. Now, Dragon Age Inquisition is a little bit lighter in this kind of narrative approach, much more versatile, not leaning too much into the darker areas Origins did. Let me tell you a little bit about literature theory. Not much though, I don't want to bore you guys to death. Gilbert Higgett sustains in the classical tradition that Abraham Lincoln used a whole lot of Cicerone oratory techniques, even though that he had not read them directly from him. Rather, they became a tradition and the core part of theory through the years. Hence, these techniques became cult techniques commonly used to give speeches, but were not inherently learned from the original authors. RPGs are written in the same fashion. There are professional writers behind those beautiful stories we love to play. Maybe they know these theories and movements, maybe they don't, but they use them similar to how Lincoln used Cicerone without directly knowing it. Dragon Age is heroic fantasy, a more modern one, I would say. What you see in this world is similar to the tradition of writing heroic fantasy, emulation, or imitation. I already talked too much about literary stuff, so suffice to say, emulation is taking the real-world verisimilitude to build and construct your very own mythos and cosmology, whether you do it for a movie, for a book, or a game. Now this is hugely important when we talk about the impact of the Dawn Will Come in Dragon Age Inquisition. In the same fashion, you see Nordic sagas or Catholic theology being emulated in the world of the Middle Earth from J.R.R. Tolkien. I love that guy, that beautiful, beautiful stuff from J.R.R. Tolkien. But we can see the same dogma building in Dragon Age. The Chantry being the Catholic emulation of the Church, with the Templars, their military force, and the mages being forced down and unleashed by said Chantry. I would like to see them as the voice of science and reason that the Church has silenced for many years before. Usually the hero's journey of Joseph Campbell can also be found in heroic fantasy. Yet, in video games, the approach of your character, especially in modern gaming, is a little bit more open to player's choice and much more versatile on set choices. BioWare gives a huge focus to this. You can link whatever outcomes from previous games to follow your path and journey throughout the latest entries, and this is where it starts to get juicy. Remember I told you about these dudes writing the story, knowing about these techniques, whether do they know them or not, they still use them? Well, the Inquisitor is built in a way where he tries to make you, the player, attached to him. For example, you can be Andrastian. You can stand by the side of mages, which I would see as knowledge, or you can stand by the Chantry's authority. To be blatantly honest, I used to feel a little bit thrown off when NPCs in the world asked me if I believe in the Maker or not. I would like you guys to take a moment to remember, if you have played Dragon Age Inquisition during several playthroughs, remember when you were a virgin on this game, when every single emotion that you got from the game was fresh new. I knew it was just a game, but I used to feel weird when these questions would pop up, and they would happen often, from Barik, Cassandra, Liliana, and they're of course trying to build this connection and autonomy of you as a player in this virtual world. You might not care too much or not pay attention to it, but it's there anyways. Now, the self from Nietzsche is also present in the Inquisition. You see your Inquisitor as a hero, and that's because you as a player, you're omniscient. However, those virtual little pieces of AI known as NPCs from the world have their pre-built perceptions of you. They see you as the Herald of Andraste. Enemies call you that as well. They slowly but surely implement this little idea of the Inquisition being bigger than the world to your head. Sarah at some point says that she thought you would glow because that's the self. She and the people from Thedas seeing the Inquisitor, they see a prophet, and whether you choose to believe it or not as a player, you're either conscious about it or subconsciously starting to develop this incipient idea. Little by little, slowly but surely, Barik even says that you've made miracles, perform things even greater than those of the champion of Kirkwall or the hero of Ferelden. At some point when you try to call him a friend, he says that's kinda like uncomfortable. Because you're Andraste's chosen one. Yes, Barik, the last person you would think Andrastian, believes you're a prophet. The idea is to make you believe it, feel strong, unstoppable, victory by victory. You even discard Corypheus' antagonism as a strong one. Because who the hell is that little cunt? You're the herald, you're going to kick his ass. When the first confrontation comes to play, things are damn dire. Colin even says that it's not possible to win and that all you can do is like make them work for it.
At this point, just make them work for it.
And those little NPCs that made you feel powerful, they are out there relying on you. You even get the chance to rescue some of them when they're in trouble. And once again, you say, everybody run, I'm gonna stop this army myself, and you do it. You freaking do it. The idea of you being almighty and powerful develops even further because of that little subtle thing that Colin said prior to battle. At this point, we're just going to make them work for it. You did the impossible. Once again, you stop the enemy forces, and then it happens. Corypheus appears and defeats you. He tosses you around like if you were nothing. He plays with you and diminishes you. All of that was previously built. A defeated Inquisitor, battle-worn and tired Herald manages to somehow survive and make his way to those who did survive. They saw you rise, and in words of Mother Giselle, they saw you fall as well, and you feel defeated. Then, the song. It's not even that the song is a masterpiece, which is something that Paul will of course tell you more in depth. It's the narrative that has been being built up until this moment that makes it so damn emotive and epic. But the expert about the song on itself, that would be Paul. What do you think about the song, dude?
Alright, so let's talk about this beautiful piece. So first, what I think is really cool are the two different main voices, or three if you count the guy in, but let's just stick with the two female voices. So the first voice is a really smooth and dark kind of voice, and the second voice is a totally different one. It's really bright, it's really open sounding, and therefore it provides such a big contrast to the first voice, which is always a really cool thing to do in music, because contrast creates tension, and tension creates something interesting. So that is something really cool there. Then another little tidbit is that the second voice comes in a bit later, so it doesn't feel like everything is perfectly locked to a grid, which I think is of course perfect to this scene. Same with all the other voices that come in as a choir later. So that has more of the feel of like one voice coming in after each other because they sing together, rather than, hey, here's a person recording a recording booth with a microphone. Alright, now let's put the other person here and have her sing over that. So it's got a lot of more natural vibe. And then speaking of coming in at different points, all the other voices, when they join in, it's a bit chaotic at first and gets a bit more chaotic in the middle, but then at the very end everything is locked together perfectly. Which is, I think, something really cool, because that just right before the very end, the very emotional moment with the orchestra coming in, there is everything locked together, so they sing really together as like one union basically, which is something really important for this scene. Alright, so one last thing I want to talk about before we dive right in is the reverb. Because I'm not so sure if the choice of reverb was really the perfect one for this scene. I know this is really nitpicking and it's not a big deal, but to me the reverb sounds more like you are inside of a small church or something like that, rather than the outside like they are here. They're in like a bit of a mountain range, which in my opinion should not sound as sterile as this reverb does, but a bit more distant and a bit more chaotic as well. This is just a little bit, I mean, just imagine yourself when you're standing on a mountain range and you scream off there. It doesn't come back immediately, there's a little bit of a delay and everything just sounds bigger than this scene. So I know this is really nitpicking, this is not a big problem, and I hope I don't take you out of the experience and the immersion with this. This is just a little thing that came to mind. So let's listen to the whole thing, and I'll just give a bit of commentary to it. So, let's start. So,
shadows fall and hope has fled.
her darker voice,
The dawn will come,
which I think sets off the scene perfectly.
and the path is dark,
Because it's dark, but still hopeful in a way that I think really fits.
One day soon, the dawn will come. The shepherd
Second voice coming in a bit later. So it was not perfect, as I said before. And now the others coming in a bit chaotically as well. And just listen to the contrast between the two main voices. Let's just go back a little bit for the second voice. Just listen to the big contrast between the two voices. That is really, really cool here.
One day soon, the dawn will come.
Dark voice and really bright. This is so cool. I like that a lot.
Keep to the stars, the dawn will.
And since I didn't know anything about this game, His voice cracks me up because I really didn't expect his voice to be like that. Now everything is together really tight. Wait for it. Now. Now they're really one unity, one union together. Setting up the great finale. Creeping in. So yeah, so much for this. I think especially the ending is really cool. The whole piece of music is a really great piece of music that really fits the mood of this scene. Although, I don't know what's going on in this scene. Alright, back to you, James. Thanks for inviting me to this. This was really cool. Thanks for the challenge.
Thank you, Paul, for that. That was really, really informative and like a nice insight from the musician side of stuff. Remember, guys, I will be having a link to Paul's video because he will be furthermore breaking down the song in his channel. And do remember to tell us if you want us to continue this as a series. With that being said, I'll see you beautiful, beautiful gamers in the next one. Stay safe, stay awesome. I'll see you later.